Hello and welcome back, I must say, to the Albuquerque Narrative Gamers or Anger podcast, episode number 14 or 286, depending on your flavor and how long you've been with us. We're back. The holidays, screw the holidays, they're over. I hope they stay where they're at. I did not have good holidays.
They're firmly in the past.
Yes, thank God. So, but we're finally together again. And on a side note to that, I did pause the Patreon billing because we missed January.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, January was an eventful month for both of us.
Yes, it was. So this show today is going to be, the punchy title for the icon is going to be Are Narrative Gamers Toxic? And we're going to answer that question in the lore. Mostly because over the holiday, I was asked that question at a game store in Texas. Just what exactly is a narrative gamer? And, what do you mean when you say that? And I was like, it's interesting that it's been years since we actually kind of went over those definitions of what really is a tournament player, what is a casual gamer, what is a whacker. And so we're going to do that today and kind of explain why, yes, narrative gamers can be toxic in the wrong environment.
Yep.
And I also put a little tagline in here that says, and I will read quoting, Malifaux 4th edition, bitches, because it's back. It's all the way back, and it has your dad by the short hairs. So it's not going to be getting started with Malifaux, although that may come. This is going to be a deep dive into why Malifaux 4th edition should be the game you're playing.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty exciting here. Even though the title is for the Our Narrative Gamers Toxic, it's a secret show Malifaux 4th edition.
Yeah, exactly.
It's essentially going to be like two shows in one.
Pretty much.
So yeah, been a wild ride, the last few weeks. So we're both back feeling healthy and ready to go. For me, even having a renewed passion for the hobbies.
Yay!
Lots of stuff to talk about, particularly in After Dark. So if you're a Patreon member, you're going to hear some pretty interesting stuff, particularly a hot take on something we'll talk about in a minute. But we are back and ready to go.
Yeah, baby.
So a lot has happened.
Yeah.
Around the world since, we last spoke, ladies and germs. So why don't you kick us off, Bill? Talk to us about Moonstone update.
Okay, so just real quick in passing, if you go out to the Moonstone website, you can pick up the 22 card pack of updated cards for models across the range, all the factions, just with the updates that they've released lately. I mean, I usually just go through and make the change on the card with, a Sharpie or something. But you can get fresh cards from them. And so I did it. And, of course, those guys shipped it lickety split. They shipped it like the day I ordered it.
Nice.
It went to the Royal Mail, and then customs and tariffs and the U.S. Postal Service took over, and I saw it just before Christmas. I ordered it beginning of December, and I saw it just before Christmas. So I'm like, and absolutely not, the Royal Mail had it out of the country in like 48 hours.
Yep.
And then U.S., they were like, anyway, I truly admire the work of the U.S. Customs Service and the things that they do, like charging someone $2,500 for a game from Japan.
Yeah.
Just in tariffs, not anything else, because they base it on the game's cost in Japan was 10,800 yen. They didn't convert it to U.S. dollars and then charge the tariff based on that. Oh, no. They took the 10,800 and said, oh, you owe us 2,500 American dollars.
Yeah.
And this dude was like, he had to fight through that. And I'm like, you're stupid. They had the game mat for the game that he was buying. They had it listed as flooring, and the tariff on that was $1,500. And he's like, you all are too stupid to survive. I understand you don't get the gaming world, but find out. It's a freaking game board and game. Do you really think the tariff should be $2,500 for that one package? But anyway, moving on.
They just have the one guy who sits there and stares at all the foreign currency symbols and just like, that's a really weird way to draw a dollar sign.
Yeah. That Y with the slashes through it, that's dumb. That doesn't even make me think of dollars.
Yeah, it's like a Y kind of shape. I don't understand it. I'm going to go online and research for the next 2 weeks to find out why this Y with 2 dashes through it is not drawn like a dollar sign.
Is that Yankee money? I don't.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's just
The remote customs worker from Alabama.
Yeah.
Oh Lord. Boy, howdy.
Yeah. But anyway, that came in and it's for Moonstone, and so it's awesome. And yeah. They also released the 2 new, you can get the Faculty and Matilda now? Yeah, Matilda and the Faculty are the 2 new things, and I got those through Vic though, so no issues there. The Faculty is borderline bonkers broken. They're so cool. And they just synergize with each other.
Yep.
You can take it as a one-off here and there, but they just work so good together.
Yeah.
And, of course, Matilda is, whoa, slap you in the face. You're going to say daddy.
Our mommy?
Yeah, something. You're gonna
whatever Matilda identifies as.
You're definitely going to say uncle.
Yeah.
Because she's going to hurt you. Yeah, she's going to give you a wedgie. So.
Yeah. So I see you got a big box of K-47 starter set over there, Bill. What's this about?
Actually, they just did, the latest edition of Conflict 47 with all new models. So no more of this half bolt action, half Conflict 47 model range. Now they have some really bonkers, cool plastic minis. There's very little some of the or the Axis forces are still resin, but they're one-piece resin. They're not. You don't have to assemble them. Very few off parts that you have to put together, like in the battle days. It really was, in the very first edition, it was literally a way to expand on bolt action and make it into a weird world. Well, now they've really doubled down on it. They brought in Andy Chambers again, the ex-GW designer. They brought him back because they bought Conflict 47 from another company.
Yeah.
And they wanted to reinvigorate it. And so they brought in Andy to relook at everything and redo everything. So now the way the Rift energy works, it's really quite cool because any Rift unit starts the game with a Rift die. And you can either just leave it at the face that it shows from the beginning of the game to the end and never use their Rift power, or you can risk it and use their Rift power, but at the end of the turn you have to roll that die, and well, you never know what might happen. It might be amazing and it might be really poopy. So it's a nice little mechanic into the game, and if you don't know, Conflict 47 is literally Los Alamos. They tested the atomic bomb. Who knew they opened up a rift to another dimension? Oh my gosh. And what's really kind of crazy is nothing comes through the rift, no bad guys or anything, but they're able to decipher transmissions in the rift. And with it, just technology went off the hook. So you're looking at 1940s era stuff, but they have laser weapons and they have the ability to alter genes and mutate people to the nth degree. What's his name? Captain America would be proud. So here it is. What ended up happening was Germany was actually being shadow controlled by this behind the scenes thing, and they managed to open a rift in Dresden. So basically there's a rift in America that's serving the Brits and the Americans and the Allies. And then there's a rift in Dresden that is doing the Axis powers, so Germany and Japan. The Russians are just sort of borrowing Rift stuff from everybody else, and they desperately want to get their own Rift going so that they can do their own stuff, but they're off the hook cool. And it's just really wacko, weird imaginings on World War II didn't end, and now it's super steampunk, high-tech, not steampunk, but it's very high-tech, very strange, but still grounded, but mutated. And it's the same game system as Bolt Action, so it's a lot of fun. And it has that great order system where you put everybody's dice in a bag, and you pull the dice out one at a time, and whoever's die comes up, they activate a unit. And the dice are not keyed to a specific unit. You get a die, you can do anything with anybody. So it makes for a really nice I go, you go kind of split game that just it's got a very natural flow to it, and the way the pinning mechanic works is still pretty good. I like it. It kind of represents that slow accrual of chaos and crap, not just dead guys.
Yeah.
Although casualties do affect you, but yeah, it's just a fun game system. It's really nice, and if you're in an area where the people that play a lot of bolt action are not people you want to play with, like
Toxic game.
yeah, toxic Nazis, then yeah, Conflict 47 is a really great way to branch out and play that system, but with really cool models and a little bit of historical throwback. So that's what Conflict 47 is all about. And the new starter set is out, so if you're interested, it's very good. It's a full up board game system, so, or miniatures game system. So if you're not wanting to learn a new board miniatures game, take it for what it's worth.
So let me just understand this correctly. Do for the allies and the Axis for that matter, do each of the individual countries have their own like faction models, that kind of thing?
Oh yeah.
So you can be America, you can be Britain, can you be like, I don't know, France?
Japan. Well, they haven't done the French, Italians, mostly because they're going from what was really big at the end of the war, 45. And so, by that time, Italy had completely capitulated. France was liberated, but was not standing on its own.
Okay.
I'm sure they will at some point have French forces, and Italian forces, and Greek, and, hopefully they do all the theaters. So, but right now it's the big five.
Okay. And the Russians are one of them?
Oh, yeah. Big
Okay.
time. Yeah.
All right.
They have some of the coolest looking stuff. Oh my gosh.
But they don't have their own Rift.
No, they're trying to get one really bad. They use other people's Rift to get their new technology, but they have all the mutations. They have all the new upgraded equipment. They're not playing at a detriment for not having a Rift. It's just a story hook.
Oh, okay. So they're not
Rift.
sitting on scraps kind of stuff.
No.
They actually have stuff.
No, they're just as big and bad as everybody else. It's uncontrollable. It's not like you can lock down the Rift. The signals are out there. All you have to do is tune into them, and you get stuff.
Oh.
So
Okay.
yeah.
But for right now, they can't wait till they're sorry for the joke.
They
Putin on the Rift.
Oh my God! Yes. Putting on the Rift. Now I want to break out in song. Damn it!
There's your earworm, folks.
Yes. All right. Why don't you hit the next one while I get a soda?
That's good. The next thing, I'm only going to touch on this briefly now, but stay tuned for After Dark, where I go a little bit more into detail on it. But there was a lawsuit filed by some shareholders of Hasbro in reference to Magic the Gathering. The long and short of it is that they are accusing Hasbro of essentially like lying to them about product release. They're claiming that between 2021 and 2023 that Hasbro overproduced Magic the Gathering, essentially as a means to make up for where the company was failing in other what should be profitable areas.
AD&D.
And that because of that, the shareholders lost value in the company. One of the major issues they were talking about was because of over manufacturing and production. There was $50 million in product that was sent out that was not sold. Ooh. And resulted in a $55 million restock price for the company on returns. So not only did they drop $50 million, they didn't have to, that didn't get sold, but then they also lost $55 million in restocking the product. They also claim that there was a loss in collector's value, which frankly I think is BS. That would show that they have investments in third-party markets, so I don't think that that's going to fly. I could have a long discussion about that because I actually wrote a legal paper about that.
Oh, wow.
About the third-party market as well as the reserve list and everything. But that's just the long and short of it. Quick opinion, I don't think it's going anywhere. I think it's just trying to keep Hasbro in line. But I will definitely dive a little bit more into it after dark. But that's the TLDR on the current lawsuit.
Yeah, it's kind of, I definitely, that was so your bag. I didn't even want to make a comment on it because, my first pass was like, this just sounds like sour grapes. But then you read into it and you're looking at the stock manipulation.
Yep.
and how and why it was done at certain points in the quarters just to make that shareholder report look good.
Yep.
That looks like malfeasance to me. But anyway, we'll get back to that in
After Dark.
After Dark. So I want to hit this is an older product, but it's still super good, super relevant. But the Conquest Chronicles and Legend books. Been playing a bit of Conquest lately.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Just a bit?
Yeah, just a bit. In fact, Terry was over last weekend, and we played right here on this table. So, yeah, that was a fun game. Inside that Chronicles and Legends book, there's a great deal of lore. And if you want to know a bunch about it, go to 2 Plus Tough. He does a whole breakdown of the book.
Oh, yeah.
Really well done, of course. It's
obviously.
Doug.
Yeah.
And, but what's really fun about it is they have this fantastic campaign system in the back of the book for doing Conquest linked games and make your games matter. And the way they've done it is that you can drop in the pieces and the parts that you want to make it as complex as you want or as simple. It's a map-based campaign. And you can either just make it area control or you can actually do the hex maps. They give you both sets and say, here, use these for whatever you want. But they give a really nice setup for how to ingrain the politics into it, how to ingrain resources and actual points for your army, as well as a system of experience for your units and your characters in your army. And you can pick and choose the modules or the little parts that you want to use. So you can make a really phenomenally fun Conquest campaign if you've got players that are into that idea. Really neat.
Yeah, I mean, Parabellum puts out a really nice narrative product, right? I mean, we can rant and rave about how great, Conquest is as a game on the tabletop, but the effort they put into like these types of releases is phenomenal. You get the special character for whatever faction, if you do have one of those factions that you're playing. The effort that goes into the maps, the stories, all that kind of stuff. They've been doing this for a while, folks. And they just keep getting better at it, I mean, that's, we're always going to gush about Parabellum and how they just like continue to exceed expectation with every release. So, but it's a great system.
It really is so much fun. It's completely supplanted for me anyway. It's completely supplanted AOS and 40K. If I'm going to be playing a big 6x4 tabletop kind of game, that's the one I'm going to play.
Oh, heck yeah.
It's just cut and dried. And it just hits on all cylinders, We'll talk about it when we get to bat reps, but, I was really kind of down on the Nords after they made the big changes. Now, after having played them for 3 or 4 times, they're really good. They're really a lot of fun to play, and you have to play them smart. You can't it's not the old days where you just fly forward, charge everything, let it die, and then hit it with your big stuff that's coming up behind. It's not like that anymore. You gotta think. You gotta really think it through.
Yes, folks, it's no longer playing Gruul and Magic. You don't just sit there and unga bunga straightforward. You actually have to think.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry to all those Nord players who can't.
Oh, that's bad.
No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I'll have a little bit to talk about Conquest and After Dark with Old Dominion and some thoughts. Yeah. I think we may have like a small little state of the game discussion.
That box is all we records. So I'm ready for an escalation. So anytime.
All right.
So shall we unbury the lead?
Yeah. The actual show that we'll be talking about, Malifaux 4th edition. I'm going to let Bill go first, but I will say Bill's an SOB because he's like, hey, let's look at Malifaux 4th edition. And I was like, okay, I don't really know much about this game other than like the name. So then I started watching videos, and then I went to their website and I read up on all these 8 factions and all this interesting stuff. And I'm like, yeah, Bill, I get it. It is, a Wild West, steampunk, horror, fantasy, sci-fi, but how is it different from all the other Wild West, steampunk, horror, fantasy, sci-fi games and shows that we've seen? And I spent money last night.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna pass over to Bill's, whose passion should inspire you to probably do the same.
Yeah. It's I want to start out by saying I started playing Malifaux when Malifaux came out, version 1. And at that time I was playing, I think, Colette, who was a performer, and that crew. It was a lot of fun. Stayed with the game through the change to 2nd edition, and about midway through 2nd edition, I just gave up on it because the games were taking, for having 5 to 10 models on a side, the games were taking 2 to 3 hours with good players.
Ugh.
And campaign days, organized campaign or organized tournaments, they were trying to make the rounds 2.5 hours. And even that was tight. People were banging the clock all the time. And it had gone so bad. And as 3rd edition came around the corner, my initial look at it was, this is just going to make it worse, because now they're adding titles to the masters. Masters can have different keywords. Masters can control this, that, and the other thing. You can have 2 masters in a list. It was just going to get worse. And so I got out of it. And I sold off my Pandoras and my Colettes, all my Arcanists. I sold off everything just about, except for a couple of models. And I gave up on it because it had just gotten too out of hand. And so when 4th edition was announced back in February, March of last year, I was like, oh, that's cool. At least they're still around. And I paid no attention to it. And then along came Thanksgiving time frame and got a note and said, you should look into the 4th edition. It's actually pretty good. So I started looking into it, and I was like, after watching a couple of videos from people that I know are hardcore tournament gamers, they are in it for the win. More on that later. And they were gushing about how good it was. And there was a breakdown of all the changes and why they were great. And I was blown away. So I went and grabbed the rulebook online for free.
Wait, what?
Incidentally. Yeah, for free.
More on that later.
Yeah, more on that later. And I started going through it, and I was like, oh my God, they hit every issue with the game and made it just, I wrote on the notes, hot fucking damn, they did it right.
Mm-hmm.
They just, very rarely do you see a company, and what they did was, and to their credit, long about March, April of last year, they said, here's the playtest rules, here's the open beta rules, let us know what you think. And they took all that feedback from thousands and thousands of players, and they looked at the feedback and they said, some of these people are idiots, some of them raise valid points, some of them just want everything all the time. And they folded a lot of those things back into the new set, released it again, and they finally hit upon what is 4th edition. A brilliant edition of the game. So if you need a skirmish game, we're talking about 5 to 10 models on a side that plays fast and is easy to learn, very difficult to master, and has enough tactical crunch to keep you going for years. Take a look at Malifaux 4th edition.
So set the stage for us. What's the general concept of the story, and how are we getting into whatever Malifaux is?
Okay, so from 20,000 feet up, way back in history, Earth history, around the time of Abyssinia, the first rift opened up, and a bunch of bad things poured through it.
Where was this rift?
In Abyssinia.
Okay.
So lower, sort of Middle East, if you will. All these things poured through, but then the rift closed.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of places around the world had to deal with, and this is where we get a lot of the background of a lot of our mythology.
Mm-hmm.
This is where you get the Draculas, the Frankensteins, the Chupacabras, you name it, the Mothman, all those kinds of things, the Gaki and the Oriental worlds and all of this stuff. And everybody reacted to it differently.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The Chinese got together and they were like, we need to make some swords that can kill these things.
Yep.
But they didn't, these were kind of like state secrets. Most of the places in that time frame, and we're talking 1600, they were holding on to their power tenuously at best.
Mm-hmm.
So having the whole world know, or all of your subjects know that, oh, by the way, there's also this outside influence that potentially can wreak havoc everywhere, it's not helping your power base. So very quietly, they were trying to do things, and they were forging swords. On the other side of the world, they were trying to do it in different ways, but basically the rift closed. Didn't hear nothing about it for a long time. Then in, I want to say the 1800s, a rift opened in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And this was huge because this one stayed open and you could go through it. And what happened was people went through it. They found a city, Malifaux.
Whoa.
And yeah, who knew? And it was deserted. And they were like, whoa, this is crazy. So they started, this thing got organized called the Guild. Very quickly, they found soul stones. And soul stones were these magical energy crystals that could empower humans to do amazing things, magical things. And so controlling that soul stone trade was huge. And the Guild was on the ground floor. So they rose to become an international player overnight. Everybody wanted soul stones, and these guys controlled the source. Whoopsie. Long story short, lots of things happen. The original inhabitants of the Rift, the Malifaux world, started looking at the humans and all the screwed up things they were doing, including letting out all of these horrible tyrants to plague the world again. The tyrants being like Malice and Sharufe and just all kinds of nasty, ugly, horrible people. They were letting them out of their prisons that they had been in for millennia. So the original inhabitants of the world, the Neverborn, were like, all right, we're going to do this ritual. We're going to kick all of the humans out of here. We're going to kill them all, close the portal, but they could only close it for 100 years. But the idea was they'd then be ready when the rift opened again. They'd be ready for the human incursion, and it wouldn't happen. It wouldn't go down like this again. So 100 years goes by. The Guild is still strong because they're the only ones with soul stones. And so they're the only people that can dole out magic in the real Earth. So they become this huge international power. 1900, rift opens again. Humans pour through it. At this point, the people that were in Malifaux, the Neverborn, thought they'd be ready. But between all the infighting that they did and all the silly shenanigans that they got into, they were not ready. So basically, the Guild goes into Malifaux City. They literally stake out a large portion of it and make it a colony. They wall it off. The parts of the city are the untamed lands. It's the open I forgot the name of the territory, but it's basically no man's land. And they have a foothold now, big time. And the Guild still controls the Soulstone trade. So as we move forward through the different stories, all the different factions pop up. You have the Guild, which are the authoritarian dickheads. You have the Arcanists, which basically believe that magic should be free and everybody should get to use whatever powers they have. And incidentally, when you go through the rift to get to Malifaux, almost everyone is changed in some way. And they either develop all kinds of crazy cool magical powers or they grow a third arm. It's a crapshoot. So, you know, the Guild wants to control everybody and everything. If you show any signs of magic, they want to put you down or put you to work mining soul stones. They literally just want to control everything, but they are bent and twisted as hell. You have the Resurrectionists, who basically have tapped into the powers of the Death God.
Yeah.
And a lot of them can just raise dead at will. And sometimes they are even powerful enough to raise dead, not just as zombies, but with shreds of their old personalities intact.
Yep.
You have the Outcasts, which are most of the times people that used to work for the Guild, but actually had a sense of morality and said, yeah, no, bullshit on you. Or they're just bounty hunters or what have you. They're just people that exist in a 1900s kind of world. So desperados, all the Wild West things you can imagine, and the steampunk things. You have the Bayou, which are natives to Malifaux, but they're goblins, all of them. And they're the coolest. They're the coolest. And they have a real big affinity with pigs of any kind. So from little piglets to big warthogs.
Yep.
And, oh boy, they can be fun. Of course, you have the Neverborn, the original inhabitants, and these are, to go into that lore would take forever, but you have basically the Fae and the Nethrazine. The Fae are the people that used to control Malifaux and kept the peace for millennia until the tyrants came around. Yada, yada, yada. I'm going too deep here, I know. But
we're at the 10,000 foot view right now.
Yeah, and I did Arcanists. They just believe in magic. You have the Miners and Steamfitters Union, which are the people that do all the machines. They're the steampunk crew. Crazy amounts of manipulation of construct and what have you. And who did I forget? Explorer Society.
And Ten Thunders.
Ten Thunders. Ten Thunders is when the big rift opened up in Santa Fe, nobody knew that very quietly another rift had opened. And it was in the Orient. It was in Japan. I think it's Japan. And so the Ten Thunders have always had their own way in and out of Malifaux, and they've never told anybody. Because if the guild ever found out, they would, of course, the guild knows. Mm-hmm. But since they're not flooding the market or anything with soul stones, they just are like, yeah, whatever. But it's interesting because in the real world, the real issues of the 1900s are at play. Mm-hmm. You know, the Boxer Rebellion in China, the American Civil War that didn't happen because America didn't expand all the way out to the other ocean. And San Francisco is still a Mexican city. Mm-hmm. Santa Fe is still Mexican. So a lot of the things that happened, like the freeing of the slaves and the emancipation of women's suffrage and all that stuff, are just happening now. And they're being influenced by what's happening in the Malifaux world. So it's a really interesting juxtaposition. So the role-playing game that's attached to this is called The Other Side, and it takes place Earthside, whereas the Malifaux game takes place in Malifaux. So that's the 10,000-foot view, and I probably went into too much detail, but...
Just to also add, but the Ten Thunders are going to be your combination of like your Chinese martial arts, your Japanese martial arts, all that kind of stuff, and you're going to see a blending with Wild West stuff, like models, like they'll be called Ronins, but essentially look like, you know, Wild West homesteading wives with katanas, you know, or podals or something like that.
And they work for the outcasts. So it's just so weird. So strange. But getting back to the game, there's so many great changes that happen to the game. And I listed a whole bunch of them that, if you're not familiar with the game, are meaningless. But I'll just hit the high points real quick. There is now a marker limit of 5 for any particular marker in the game. So as opposed to having 22 scheme markers out there, you can have 5. If something would cause you to make a new scheme marker, you pick up one of the old ones, put it where you need it. So no more of this table covered with markers thing. You can't target friendly units, and all the mechanics that were designed around targeting friendly models are gone. So no more of this powering up your entire force by killing all your minions.
Oh, yeah.
And then rezzing them up again. No more of that. Which just literally was a time sink in the game.
I will say there are abilities that do target friendly models.
Yes.
You know, they're going to be like your heals, or sometimes you can pull someone out of a fight or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, but you can't use attacks.
You're not straight
unless
out
it says
attacking
otherwise.
Your friendlies. Now, there are going to be times that you use an attack on your friendly to redirect it, to ricochet it onto somebody else, but that's different.
Yes, some of those characters have cool abilities.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and as far as off-the-hook abilities go, yeah, they're fun.
Like, I think it's Perdita Ortega with the guild. She can measure line of sight from any friendly model within 8 inches of her, kind of a concept, you know, so that's where a friendly model comes in.
She bends bullets, yeah.
Yeah, like, it's awesome. Anyway, sorry.
No, I mean, it's great. It's so much fun. Some of the different characters have so much flavor. It's crazy. The interact action is now a direct action that you take as part of your action economy on your turn. So interacting with scheme markers, and interact covers interacting with a scheme marker or placing a scheme marker or removing it. So all of your VP scoring is now codified as an action that a model can do.
Yes.
Very, very nice. Very handy. Makes things rules-wise so much less cluttered than it used to be. The crew cards that you get with your individual keywords, your crews, whenever they release a crew now, they release it and you get 2 copies of the crew card, one for you and one to give to your opponent. So no more of this gotcha bullshit. Yeah. You know, no more of this. We're halfway through the game. Oh, and all of a sudden I find that I can't do any damage to your master because no more of that. You were going to have a copy of the other guy's card right when the game starts.
But Bill, how am I going to win the game?
Yes. Yes.
More on that later.
Your card hand size, in case The other big selling point of Malifaux is there's no dice in this game.
Zero dice.
You play with a deck of cards.
Oh.
You can play either with a standard deck of cards from your cubbyhole or your junk drawer, or you can use the bespoke cards. They have a chart that will translate the suits and, well, the numbers. You play with 52 cards plus a red and a black joker. Red joker, oh my God, amazingly good. Black joker, you're screwed. And quite literally, yeah. But one huge change that they made, and you have to understand, they have some abilities go off on a target number. Other things are resolved as a duel. So a fight between me and Josh would be a duel where we would flip cards and try to beat each other on the flip. Other things are done with a target number, and you flip a card, and if the card beats that number, that skill goes off. If it doesn't, the skill doesn't go off. 6s are the pretty much basic target number. And one of the problems with the old versions of the game was that meant the ace through the 5 in your hand that you drew were worthless, wasted cards.
Yep.
They just sucked up your hand, and they were terrible, and they made you go fishing for cards in order to do raises and what have you. We'll get to that here in a bit. Now your hand size is a flat 7 cards, and the cards ace through 5 can now empower a duel. And what that means is basically if you, at the beginning of a duel, you'll declare that you're going to empower it. You'll play an ace through a 5 from your hand. And at that point, you empower the duel, which means you get to draw an extra card and keep the highest. And also you get the suit of that card as a potential trigger.
Yeah.
So every ability can have certain triggers based on the suit of the card. And usually it's the one card that you end up using for the duel, not all the ones you flip, just the one you use. But now you also have a choice of the one that you empowered it with.
Yeah.
So now every card in your hand is useful, and you will find yourself at the end of the turn keeping a 4 of tomes just because you want that trigger.
Yes.
And you want that empower. So it's completely changed the dynamic of hand management in such a good way. There's no dead cards anymore. I love it. Let's see. Soul Stones have been changed drastically. There is now a max 6 at the start. So as you're buying your crew, you're paying the points for them in Soul Stones. Average game is 50. A lot of games are played at 35 because that's how the boxes come.
Yeah.
And most of the boxes come with a 32-point crew, and that'll give you 3 Soul Stones to start the game with.
Perfect for starting out.
Yeah, it's a perfect size, but you can go all the way up to a 50-point crew. Which point, you can build your crew however you want, but you can have a maximum of 6 of those points left over as Soul Stones. Soul Stones allow you to trigger abilities on your cards.
Yeah.
And they're very, very handy. A lot of times your healers require Soul Stones. One of the nice parts of the game now is it's not just certain factions and crews that get soul point recursion. Anytime a character dies, anytime a master, henchman, or minion dies, you get a soul stone. Now, you don't get them with peons, but that's expected. Peons are junk. But it keeps the flow of soul stones going so that you can have abilities during the game. Peons, when they are on the board, are always slow, so they only get 1 action.
Yep.
So yes, you can play the action economy game and have 6 peons in your list. They're going to get 1 action, and they're going to just take up slots, really. And they're going to give your opponent, or they're going to give you more abilities to pass, but it's not going to help you win the game. Signature act, or the bonus action, free action, actions based on all the other silly entanglements in the game are all gone. They're replaced by signature actions, or in this version, they call them tacticals. But they're basically signature actions, and you can do your signature action now as many times as you want, up to your action economy.
Yep.
So you always get a free one, and then you can spend all your actions doing them again. So the characters that are supposed to be healers are now no longer limited by the action economy. They can heal 2 to 3 times. Because terrain was always supposed to be such a big part of Malifaux, and it was always such a convoluted set of rules, they really streamlined it. Now, as part of your move, you can do vertical movement. So you end touching a piece of height 2, 3 terrain. You just, at the end of your action, you just shimmy up it. And that's it. Your turn's over, but it gives you so much more flexibility to build the tables that you've always wanted with those heights. And, especially with the weirdscape terrain, having that built-in height stuff, it was always like such a waste because it was so hard to get up there. Now it's so simple, it hurts.
Yeah.
To do terrain management and to have the high ground. And some of the schemes are directly related to
holding terrain,
scheme markers at level 2 or 3. So yeah, they're doubling down into the terrain, which is great.
And there's so many cool characters that can like once per turn, they essentially ignore like the height of the terrain. Yep. So essentially, you just like, I don't know, ninja flip up a building. And I mean, there's so many things in it that make it like almost cinematic, right? It's so cool.
It's always been such a cinematic game, and the visuals of it have always been so striking. Like I said, I started out with Colette Dubois, the performer, and the way her stuff used to work, it was literally just razzle dazzle. The show is the thing. All of her abilities were based on that. Here's the show, and here's my showgirls, and while you're watching the showgirls, I'm going to pick your pocket and take all your toys and probably kill you.
Did she hand out a bunch of entranced or something like that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, back in the day, it was, she gave you not focus. I can't remember what it was. It was a different, but it basically the same effect. So yeah, we did signature moves, so much more fun now, and you work them, you have to weave them into your stuff. But where the game really shines is now the masters have so much less text on their card. They just have their direct things that they do, and their tokens are the character that comes with them automatically. Are where they put all the flavor. So, for instance, Seamus has his demise. What he does on his demise, the first time you kill him, you didn't really kill him. As long as there's somebody else near him, he just teleports over to them, and yeah, that's what happened. Yeah. So, but where he shines is when he's with his token, and it just opens up all the possibilities. It's just so good.
And I mean, the crew cards that they come with, each character has, or each master has 2 versions, right? And I think, each one plays differently, which is super cool. But your crew card, where you're like in faction, so you have like your crew sub faction, right? So like Nellie Cochrane is journalist, right? And so her card gives an ability to all journalists, that is so awesome, because essentially you have an additional ability printed on a separate card for each one of your characters in faction. So your versatiles don't get it, but it adds another layer, and a lot of it is also like super narrative too,
Oh yeah.
Sticking with like Nellie, like she's a journalist who spreads misinformation and manipulates people, and like everything is so cool and flavorful. But she has a scandal bar that like goes up and down, right? Because you want to use the scandal to benefit abilities, and you want to build up the scandal so that way you can unleash this next ability, right? And that all comes on her crew card. Right. So like it adds this whole separate layer of strategy that you just take because you chose that version of Nellie. Right. So cool. It's
so well done. So really well done. The other place where they really clean things up are the strategies and the schemes. That's always been the way of getting victory points. Strategies are the overall strategy for the game, and it's shared between the 2 players, and it's usually written in such a way that either player can score it, and you get the victory point at the end of the turn if you're the one doing the thing on the card, or the most thing on the card. So really, really nice. It's common knowledge for everybody. This is what we're playing. Then you have the schemes. Now, the schemes used to be a pool of 5 cards that were always up front in play, visible to everybody, and you would secretly decide which one you're doing, or do them all. Got to get them all. Pokemon. Now, what they've done is they've changed schemes completely. To now, when you start the game, you pull 3 schemes. However, each scheme at the very bottom has a list of 3 other schemes. Those are the ones that it leads to. So if you accomplish that scheme, or at the end of the turn, if you just don't feel like you can do it, you're still secretly recording what you're doing, but you can either abandon it or score it and then move on to one of those other 3. At this point, it branches, and your opponent does not know what you're picking. So it's not as in your face visible what everybody's going to be doing. So it has a little bit more of that, I don't know, fog of war, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I know what your possible choices are, but I don't know which one you picked.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them can be disguised as other one. And then, of course, once you've accomplished that scheme, you can then pick a third one. Now, for strategies, the max is 5 points per game. Schemes, the max is 6 points per game. So it's not like you're just going to scheme the game away and run away with it. It's not going to happen. Really, really well thought out change to add a lot of fun and flavor back into the game with the schemes. And as far as I can see, they're all really fun right now. I don't see any really big losers, although I do see some that are very faction keyword dependent. Some of them, if you can't move fast, are going to be really hard, but you can abandon them, so it's okay.
Yeah, but also, like, in the same token, your ability to branch out into one of 3 different schemes, right, when you either abandon or achieve, right? When I was kind of looking at the choose your own adventure of that, it always felt like whatever faction that you're in, you are likely going to have an option that you're going to be able to score on, right?
Yep.
So you'll be able to, even if, the first one is not the best, you'll be able to maneuver into positions where you can actually gain those victory points. So just because one's not working out for you doesn't mean that, like, the next 3 are going to screw you the same way, right? It's really cool.
You're going to have options out there. Another thing that should talk about in the victory point scoring portion is they knocked the game down from 5 turns to 4 turns.
Yep.
Huge change here, because a lot of times turn 1 was always you're either unpacking, getting your folks out on the board in the positions that you want, and very little happened for just an extreme amount of time wasted, or you're alpha striking. While the other guy's unpacking, you're picking off everything he's got. You're trying to wipe out 2 or 3 models on that turn, which now doesn't hurt near as much because you're getting soul stones, even if they do die. But now, because you're looking at 4 turns, you got to be scheming on turn 1.
Yeah.
You've got to be looking at the strats and the schemes starting from turn 1. You cannot be screwing around and going, I'm taking this turn just to develop where I want to be. No, you have to be doing that and thinking about, how am I going to score this turn? Otherwise, you could find yourself turn 4 and you haven't maxed out schemes, and that's probably a loss. So you don't get points for killing people, by the way, unless the scheme specifically says that. Or the strategy specifically says that.
Like the one assassinate scheme.
Yeah, there's assassinate, and then there's frame job. Yeah, frame job is so cool. Although there's got to be a couple of errata to frame job, because there's some hidden abilities that you can do that will damage a character or, a figure, but are not attacks. And frame job is specifically listed about attacks. So if you are doing frame job and somebody gets damaged to a threshold by non-attack damage, and you inadvertently say, oh, you got, here's your points for frame job. Oops, you didn't have to give up those points.
Yeah.
So they need to clarify that a little bit, but that's neither here nor there. I'm sure they will. But I could go on and on and on about the changes they made.
Yeah. If
you don't know Malifaux, none of it makes any sense. I will just say that the gameplay is so much smoother now, so much better. And after we learned the game, and I would say after we played the first 2 games, we were on point and we were knocking out games in 90 minutes. And granted, some of those were 35-point games, but after we graduated to 50-point games, we were still doing it in 90 minutes to 2 hours and having a blast.
Yeah.
Having a blast while doing it. It was just crazy. And, it's weird miniatures, so they're not known for their release schedules. It's a smaller company. We're not talking about 25 people here. We're talking about like a handful, 5, 6, 7, 8 people making all this stuff work. So you have to understand that there's going to be times they're going to announce stuff is going to be available March 1st, and you won't see it till April, May. Don't worry. It's coming.
I mean, but they've still had a fairly prolific production since 4th edition dropped.
Yes.
I mean, they've got that Baller. Is that what you put?
Yeah,
Baller 2-person starter set, where you get Neverborn and Ampersand.
Yep.
By the way, some of the most unique models out there, right? Example, in Ampersand, you have Steiner, who's literally a robotic grand piano with a giant crossbow strapped to him. Like, so cool, right? And then, with like the Neverborn, they have what I think the coolest model is the Colony.
Oh, God, yes.
It's like this Lovecraftian jellyfish that like floats around and gives you the bad touch.
Yes. Show me where the jellyfish touched you. Everywhere.
$120 American.
Yeah.
You get 232-point teams, right? And a lot of the other stuff that you might want to have. I mean, the rules.
You get really nice measuring stick. You get 2 decks, one for Outcast, one for Neverborn, and they're
with unique art.
Yeah, they're plain, but they're really nice.
Yeah,
and they're exactly what you need. Perfect. And I do love one thing about the decks. The Ace through 5 have glow around the number, and printed on the card is the word empower.
Yeah.
So you don't forget Ace through 5 will empower a duel. So handy.
That was one of the coolest benefits from it. Like not having dead cards.
Yeah.
But then they've dropped so many faction packs.
Yes.
Already. I mean, like most of the Resurrectionists are already out. I think there's 4 boxes of them now.
Yeah, there's both Seamuses, Jackdaw, McMorning. But yeah, 2 McMornings. I think that's it for the Rezzers right now. But they had old sculpts. They needed a redo hard. And they're
so
gorgeous.
Beautiful.
They're really nice. Oh, and Pandora.
Pandora. They have 2 Outcasts. They have 2 Guild.
Yep.
2 Arcanists.
3 Arcanists.
3 Arcanists.
Sandeep. No, more than that. You got Sandeep, Colette. I thought there was I don't exactly remember.
But yeah, they've been producing the starter kits, and the cool part where a starter kit gets you in at 32 points, right? So you can pay a 35-point game with 3 soul stones right out the box.
Yeah.
The new plastic sculpts are just so pretty.
They are gorgeous. And the other side is going all the way back to Malifaux 1. Those models are still. Yep. I still have my Candy and Baby Cade from version 1 or 2. Yeah, 2. And to me, they're a lot better than Candy and Baby Cade in the new update. I like them better, the older one, because Baby Cade is just a baby, but he's in his teddy bear suit, his like teddy bear onesie, and it's off the hook cute, but it's Baby Cade. He's going to put a knife in your back.
But if you go to Weird Games, I mean, they have all the 3rd edition models still up for sale. So, if you like get your starter pack and you're like, oh, I really want to add this, I don't know, doppelganger or something, to my crew.
One point to note, if you see a Malifaux 3rd edition starter, understand that the 3rd edition starter boxes are only the versatile models from the keywords.
Yes.
There's no master in there. So don't buy a 3rd edition starter thinking that you're going to get the same place you will with a 4th edition starter.
No. Start with a 4th edition starter and then supplement.
Add on with the 3rd edition starters, or, mix and match. Just find out where your different things come from. I had to buy a box for my Victoria crew, because I bought the 3rd edition starter, which came with 6-arm shooter and Molly, or with Sally Mae Chesterfield. But I also had to go out and get Keeper the Blade to get the dual Vix, the double Vix. And so, I mean, you'll have to search around a little bit to get stuff. Now, Weird has said flat out that everything is going to be repacked. Awesome. So that as 4th edition comes on, there's going to be no more of this confusion. How many boxes do I have to buy to make a full crew? And what's happening is people that don't know how they're laid out, how the boxes are laid out, are buying 2 or 3 boxes to get certain characters and not using the other 2 that are in that box, when you don't have to do that.
Yeah.
The other thing Weird has said flat out, you are going to, for the first year, so you have a few more months, you are going to be able to contact them and buy the extras for the cruise as a one-off. You don't have to buy the box.
Yep.
So if you're looking at a specific, you want the Bandersnatch or what have you, and you don't want to pay $50 for the box that he comes in because you don't need the other 2 models, you'll be able to get with Weird and say, I need a Bandersnatch, and they will figure out how to get it to you. They'll clip it out or whatever. I don't know how they're going to do it, but they said they're going to do it. And I believe them because they've never lied.
I'm going to recommend what I did, just, in researching this before today. Warriors Table Wargaming has this amazing introduction on how to play Malifaux 4th edition.
Yes.
Using the starter box. First off, beautifully painted models. I got to give them beautifully painted models. Very clean instructions on how to play the game. It's broken up into chapters too, so that way, like, hey, I played Malifaux before. I really want to see just what these updates are instead of watching the whole thing. Great. And then they also have a full gameplay video using the starter box. That's not just instructive.
Yeah.
It's actually 2 players playing a scenario.
Yep.
And then the website is very inviting. If you want to get that high level overview of like, what's this faction do, right? It gives you all 8 factions, tells you generally what they're involved with. If you go look at their store, it'll show you all the starter packs that are currently available. Great value for what they are. And then the app.
Oh,
the crew builder. It has all the rules in there.
I cannot believe it's free.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
All the rules, all the cards, fully updated. You will have to, the one thing that caught me, just so you all know, since you have 2 different versions of your masters, when you go to like build a crew, there's a little button to the right of the master's name, which has the 2 arrows going opposite ways. That's how you switch which version
you're
of the master that you're using, right? So keep an eye on that. If you're just looking at the card in the bottom right-hand corner, you're going to see 2 arrows pointing opposite each other. That's how you switch between the 2 card versions. And then as each card has 2 sides, it's only going to show the face side. You swipe to the right, and that's going to show the abilities on the back, right? You just go back and forth that way. Just little thing there. One of the best parts is the when you go to the rules portion, they have like an indices essentially.
Yes.
Where you can literally drop down, okay, here's the tokens section.
Yes.
What does this token do? Boop. Here's exactly what the token does.
What does this token even look like?
Right? What's this strategy? Boop. Here are all the rules for the strategy.
Yep.
Hey, I want to read the book. Core rule book right there.
Yep.
Beautifully well done. And like, this is a really awesome way to like look into it before you start investing.
Yeah.
And like at first I was sold with the Resurrectionist, but Bill beat me to it. So then, I was like, well, what else do they have?
Lawyers.
Literal lawyers.
Yes.
Literal lawyers. So
literal lawyers. Lucius and his lawyers.
I'm going to be playing Guild apparently. Happens to the worst of us. But I saw that and I was like, well, I feel like that's sort of compulsory for me. And then they have, Nellie Cochran's the journalist, who spreads misinformation. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm getting where this is going. So you'll be able to like review everything and see where you want to go.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
beautiful.
so good. So good. So well done. And, honestly, if you want to do your first few games with proxies or cardboard cutouts, everything is on their website. You can print out the cards or you can just use the app to play the game and just see how the interactions work. It's so good. And another site I want to throw a shout out to is Malifaux University.
Mm-hmm.
It's always been the site where you go to learn everything about Malifaux with amazingly well-produced slideshows. But if you want to learn the rules to Malifaux 4E, this guy breaks them down perfectly. I would definitely jump onto his Patreon because it's worth it. Though the things that they do are phenomenally good. So yeah, that's the Malifaux 4th edition coverage. It's just very rarely have I seen a game go from I can't play this game anymore. It's just too much of a pain in the butt to, oh my God, this is so good. This version is the game I always wanted it to be. And I'm just so over the moon about it. It's crazy. I love it.
That's why Bill's really playing the Resurrectionists, because they brought this game back to life for him.
Yeah, they did. They really did.
Ha ha ha. I got the dad jokes today.
Yeah.
But yeah, I imagine you're going to see a lot more content on this from us.
Yeah. To be honest, I have thought about firing up the YouTubes again and doing Malifaux YouTube stuff, because
there's not a lot of battle reports out there on 4th edition.
There really
none
isn't.
At all.
And
I think I saw online maybe 3 or 4 that I could easily find on YouTube.
And some of them are like the rollout videos, the sponsored.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm still thinking about that because it's such a fun game. Such a fun game.
Man,
and
paint models
cinematic. Yeah, I've got 3 of my Vicks painted so far. Pam and I are doing the intro stuff. I'm taking her through the introduction. Incidentally, in the 2-player starter box, you do not get the rules. You get a quick start guide, which is a programmed instruction. It starts you. I mean, the very first scenario is put 2 models on the board and learn how to flip cards and how the duel mechanic works. And then you start adding different things. So we're up to scenario 4 now. So she's going to really start having to stretch. But we're using the crews from the box. So she's playing the Neverborn. I'm playing the Outcasts, the piano. And I'm hating this next game because she's going to learn about control. And she's going to use that. And she's going to make my own piano shoot me. I know she is.
I mean, that's like the obvious thing to do with the nymph.
Yeah.
Run over like, hey, that thing with the giant crossbow, shoot your own dude.
Yeah. Shoot your master.
You know. But yeah, I mean, if you ever wanted to play a Wild West sci-fi horror fantasy game where you could pretty much sit in a saloon smoking a cigarette, where your sarsaparilla talks back to you while you flip cards, I think this is right up your alley.
It is. It's so much fun. And yeah, it's brilliant. She's painting up her clampets right now. It's the models she's painting are so fucking good. I hate her so much. I got her the clampets. I put them together for her. I primed them, handed them over to her. Next thing I know, she's painting on them. And I'm like, okay, cool. And then she's like, oh, look at this guy. I'm done with him. And I'm like, God, I hate you. I really hate you. Because in the span of an evening, she knocked out what's his name, Clampett. And I was like, wow. So in the span of like 2 weeks, I've gotten 3 Ronin painted. And I even screwed up one of their arms. We'll talk about that coming up in Hobby Progress.
All right, let's leave this where it is and move on.
Yeah, go buy Malifaux 4E and play it. You'll love it. Hobby Progress. You want to go first? Want me to go first?
I'll go first. Mine's a little bit shorter.
All right.
So I've had some renewed invigoration for my old Dominion army.
Yes.
I've been sitting on them for a while, and I was like, oh, I'm going to play some Sorcerer Kings. Oh, Euroni, you're so good. And honestly, I would be building and painting Euroni right now if it wasn't for the complete lack of models that I need from them or exorbitant prices for those models because of demand and what have you.
Yeah.
So I'm going back to my second love. I played Spires first. Second love, Old Dom, my first true love.
Yep.
Because if you go back ages and ages to previous episodes, I have a full 1,000-point army painted. I did have my 1,500 point coming up, but because of changes, I pivoted.
Yeah.
And so my Cataphractoi and my Heteros and my mounted Strategos, I was going to start painting them this weekend, but I was like, no, I'm going to put them to the side because the lists I'm moving towards don't involve them.
Yeah.
So I built my Fallen Divinity. It's the super pretty resin one.
Oh.
That was an interesting build. I oftentimes do not like resin, particularly like building large resin models. But for the most part, she went together amazingly well.
Nice.
There's a little bit of gap filler there. There always kind of is, when you have those larger resin models, since things aren't perfectly lined up. And I didn't want to sit there and just shave everything to, within a millimeter or less to make sure it fit perfectly. So little gap filler there. But she is just this amazing model. Word to the wise out there. The dogs are a son of a to put together.
Ooh.
Not to put together, but to put on the base.
Oh yeah.
They just have weird angles where their feet go, and it's just I understand why some people did not put them on their models. But I was dedicated to it because I think it just makes it look even cooler. She's a beautiful piece, probably like, I don't know, 4 or 5 pounds of resin. It's just she's hefty.
Oh yeah, she's the kind you kill a person with.
Oh, exactly. I mean, like the scenery alone, like I'm not including the dogs or her, the scenery alone, which is, the head that's a pot with skulls in it and the fallen arch, right? God. Like that itself is meaty.
Yeah.
But the she put her on top. But all in all, beautiful. And she's starting to pop up in some lists more recently. I think she's going to be like my last model I paint for the army.
Yeah.
Because my first direction is something closer to what we saw in Supremacy over Aya recently.
Yeah.
And to that note, I did build and prime my Ziliarch, and a unit of Centaur Prodromoi.
No.
The most mispronounced word in Conquest. No one can figure out how to say it. Prodromoi.
Except for the Weaver Courts, which are all. They had to put a pronunciation guide in the army book.
Well, they gave you a pronunciation guide. They didn't do that for Old Dominion.
That's good. That's a good point. They did not do that. Yes.
I don't know how to pronounce this word. Here's how you say it. Okay, cool.
Sound it out.
So I got those built and primed. Going to start working on the slap chop later today. I did pick up 3 boxes of Athenatoy / Varangian Guard because I found them at a steal.
Oh, nice.
Online. I was staring down, 35 American per box as opposed to like 45 to 50,
Yeah.
right? And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Free shipping too? Okay, you got me, right?
Yeah,
Those ones I'll build like 1 unit of Athenatoy and then 2 units of Varangian Guard, though I won't take the full 2 or 6 stands.
Yeah.
But that was a huge one for me.
Nice.
Then and more on Old Dominion and After Dark. Then because of Bill last night, I purchased Lucius Matheson in Plain Sight for Malifaux 4th edition. Literally the box that comes with 3 guild lawyers. And not to mention, Lucius himself is political and like his courtroom drama, that kind of stuff. Like it's just so geared to what I like. So that should be coming in this next week. Actually, It was from the same company I got the Old Dominion from.
Nice.
And it was on a steal too. Like, dear God. A big project I had this last week was in Magic the Gathering. So Lauren Eclipse just came out, revisiting a very favorite plane that people had. It's where you have the fairies and you have the evil elves and you have, weird looking merfolk and stuff like that. So it's just very high fantasy plane. They released 2 commander pre-con decks with it. One of them was called Blight Curse. And that one is Jund. And for those who don't know, that's black, red, and green color identity. So I got the deck. I played it a few times out of the box, just goldfishing it, right? It was like, this deck is pretty cool. But I had been like purchasing upgrades for it, knowing that I was going to get it. And so I spent some time upgrading that. First, I cleaned up the mana base, put in a much more advanced mana base into it, and then started like removing cards that like, this is too expensive for the effect, but the whole deck synergizes around -1/-1 counters, right? The total opposite of what you normally see with +1/+1 counters, that kind of thing. So you get benefits to putting -1/-1 counters, even on your own creatures, stuff like that. So like at one point with one of the enchantments, you can just like every time a single -1/-1 counter is put on a creature, you make a 1/1 elf, token. And,
Jesus.
I had the same thing for, it's called Nest of Scarabs. It does the same thing, but with black insects, right? And then there's like if a creature dies with a -1/-1 counter on it, you put a -1/-1 counter on another creature, right? And the commander I'm using is Auntie Ool. She is the face commander. She is this goblin matriarch, and her whole thing is that if you put a 1 or more -1/-1 counters on a creature an opponent controls, they lose 1 life. Well, not you. If a -1, 1 or more -1 counter is put on there, it doesn't have to be you. It can be they could do it themselves.
That's brutal.
The creature's controller loses 1 life. If you put some on your creature, you draw a card.
Oh,
right. So notoriously, black, red, green does not have the best draw engines, but in this thing where you're constantly manipulating -1/-1 counters, it allows you to actually dig through your deck. The deck out of the box kind of meanders, like it doesn't have like a direct, this is how I'm going to win the game. It's just sort of incidental.
Yeah.
So I had to make sure I put in win conditions in there. I think the thing that would be considered a war crime is that I put a card called Maha Its Feathers Knight, which is a 3 and 2 black. It is this like bird god or something, I can't remember. But as long as it's in play, all of your opponent's creatures' toughness becomes 1.
Oh my God.
So
Oh my God.
you could just like,
That's
cool,
brutal.
I'm going to kill all your creatures. Oh yeah, by the way, I've got Antiul out, so you all just like lose a bunch of life. So GG, right?
Wow.
And then other things that synergize with the counters. Like I said, Nest of Scarabs, that kind of stuff. There's a one more card I want to pick. I think I might have one. I just haven't looked at my collection, called Obelisk Spider. It says whenever a -1/-1 counter is put on a creature an opponent controls, they lose 1 life, right? So it doubles down on anti-Ool stuff, right?
Evidently, yeah.
Yeah. So it's so I spent a good amount of time with that.
Cool.
Building that and upgrading it. I'm still goldfishing it, tuning it. You know, I don't want to turn it into like a CDH deck, like a tier 5, you know?
Yeah.
But like tier 3, tier 4, could be fun. It's just, I didn't put any tutors in it too, because that way I can probably keep it on 3, But it's just such a fun concept that they just was not out there before. Like -1/-1 counters have been a thing, kind of Phyrexian related. Usually think about it with like a toxic, or infect, right? But where you have just cards that are straight up just dropping them, and on your own creatures, So like you'll have those creatures like I can't remember what it's called, something elder. It's a tree folk. When it comes in with a -1/-1 counter on it. Anti-Ool sees that happen, so when you cast the card, you draw a card, right? So there's like synergies like that I'm playing with, but it was just so unique. I was like, I gotta play that. Which I'm trying to get in as much as I can right now. My normal Commander play group hasn't been meeting the last few weeks, so we're gonna start up maybe in a week or two here. And this is I want to get as many games as I can, because in March, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is going to drop. And I snap bought that Commander deck.
Another money grab from Wizards. Anyway.
And I won't talk about too much here, because I'll talk about it later. But the turtle set looks fun. It's not overpowered. Like, it looks really fun. It's got that Turtles energy all the way through it.
As long as you got that, you got it made. So
they
how
sold
can you go wrong?
So much product already. Are you kidding me?
Oh, I bet.
Like, I find it interesting that the amount of TMNT fans out there that are just secretly obsessed is insane. Like to the point where, like, oh, did you hear about the turtle set coming out? And they're like, I pre-ordered $2,000 worth of product. And you're like, what? They're like, yeah, I had to hold back, you know? And then like you find out they have an entire room dedicated purely to turtles. They got all the freaking arcade games and stuff. And you're like, that is dedication. And I respect it.
Yes. Big time.
Especially that Turtles in Time Machine. Can I come play?
Man.
So that was a lot of talking for not a lot of doing.
It's all good.
I'll pass it to you, Bill. You've been doing things.
Not terribly much. Again, the holidays were horrifying. Just all the bad things happened. I think I covered it last time, but we used to have 5 dogs. We have 2 now. All over the holidays. Just old age and ongoing issues they had just caught up with everybody, and it just happened to hit all around the holidays. It was brutal. But I did get, I picked up 2 boxes of the Gulter Beast Pack for the Nords, built them up, painted them so that I could use them in the game, painted up the Blooded, painted up the Varg Lord, was working on the werewolves, and let's just say I reprimed them. So the idea I had did not come out. It was just bad execution. I knew I should have tested it on a test model first, and I didn't, and I paid for it. I had to reprime them, but they're fine. I built up another 12 Valkyries so I could take that in a 6 block. I built up 12 of the Steel Chosen, only to be so disappointed by their rules that I left them in the box. Built up 10 Kern Skirmishers for Weaver Courts, because originally when I was going to play Terry here, I was going to play Weaver Courts, and I just didn't have the time to build the army. I have it. I just didn't have the time to build it. I really want to get those on the table. I think they are going to be a ton of fun once they tweak a couple of things, which I'm sure they're working on.
Let me know when you get 1,000 points. I'll bring over my 1,000 points of OD.
Yeah.
I think that's always a good test. Like, can you beat through that wall?
Yep. Yep. They just have so many different ways to chip away. Yeah. You're not going to find a Weaver Court that just comes up and, hits you for 27 damage. That doesn't happen. But what they're going to do is just continuously take 1 or 2 away. And every time a seed blooms, it's like, oh, great. Now I'm being charged by 3 different things. Oh. So that's their whole play style, and it's a lot of fun. I can't wait to get them going. Because like I said, I had sold off all of my Malifaux stuff, so I had to build my entire Victoria crew. So I love playing the Vics. I don't know why. I love playing them. And I found in my bin of things from days gone by, I found my old Titania icon box. So the iconic, if you ever see the iconic boxes from Weird, what it is in the box, you get a playable miniature for the game, and then you get a 2 or 3 times bigger same fig for display, for painting and displaying. Really kind of cool, and I just love that.
That's awesome.
And yeah, so I've been getting most of Titania's crew together. I want to play her as the Autumn, because I just find that to be the more fun play style for her. Although I haven't really poured into it in what she does in 4th edition. And of course, I'm on the lookout now for what's her name? Hello, the Guild, the lady with the fire. Oh God, I cannot think of her name, and I was just talking about her a little bit ago. Anyway, Sonia Creed. Wow. Trust me, people, being old sucks. So, yeah, working on getting her. I built up all the clampets for Pam, so she's painting those now. What else did I build? I've got most of Seamus, both sides, both aspects of Seamus's crews built so that I can start playing the Resurrectionists. Got Pandora and the whole Woe crew built. So, yeah, I'm ready to start with just about anything. Let's see here. I've been working on this really cool, more on this later, but I found online a really cool fear tracker for Daggerheart that sits on top of your GM screen. And this is great radio because I'm going to show him my skulls. And I'm going to ask you to just think about all the skulls, but basically all these little skulls are going to be what flip over the DM screen to show how much fear the DM has.
That's awesome.
It's really cool. Yeah. It's a really well done thing. I'll put a link to it if you play Daggerheart. If you don't, you're weird. And more on Daggerheart in After Dark, because that game has taken over the game group. They've basically voted and said it's Tales of the Valiant or Daggerheart. It's what we want to play. No more anything else. Okay, that's fine. After I spent all that money on Traveler 5th Edition and all these other games, that's what they want to play. That's what they want to play. So that's what we play. I've got a neat Daggerheart campaign frame that I'm using on them now. Basically, it's my old D&D world where all the big NPCs got together and thought they could challenge the gods, and they just blew the world up. They just blew up everything, screwed everything over. And we're picking up Daggerheart about 90 years in the future after all the fallout from what they did has happened. And this is why you have the fungoids and the draconian types are now playable characters, and they're not just idiots and meanies anymore. And everybody, now you can be a fae or a giant or whatever's available in Daggerheart you can be, because all these things happened and all this magic was released.
That's cool.
So yeah, it's just kind of a neat way to tie the old world, and I can still use the old maps, except where it says city, it now means ruins. So, things, it's fun. We're getting through it. It's nice. More on that later. But yeah, that was my hobby stuff. I have to say, the other hobby thing is, of course, we're finalizing the design of what I'm referring to as the Fortress of Solitude. But yeah, I thought we were going to take the sunroom and wall it in, but the permits and the cost for that was just getting ridiculous. And this guy, one of the contractors, comes by and he's like, we could just build a freestanding 20 by 20, whatever you want, workshop. We make it freestanding so that it doesn't have to be, it's not attached to the house. So all that set of permits goes away. We can bring electricity to it easy enough. The only thing we really can't do is if you put plumbing in there, it becomes a section of domicile. And that's where it gets nuts. So we just don't plumb it. And I'm like, okay, I can handle that. I can get a gravity sink, and pipe it outside, pipe the drain outside. All I need really for water is the occasional wash this resin off, So yeah, he's finalizing the designs. The draftsman is finalizing the designs, and hopefully we'll get that going here springtime.
Do you already have your tin water bucket for when you have to use the restroom?
I was just gonna get an old chamber pot and just put it in the corner. I had thought about that, and I was like, I am seriously going to do like a rickety wooden, just 2x2 closet with a chamber pot in it, and you got to hit the hole. Anyway, no, we're not gonna do that.
Where's Frank? Oh, he's over in the corner. Don't look me in the eye. Don't look me in the eye.
Yeah, the bottom gap is going to be like 3 feet. Everyone can see me. Well, hurry up then.
Oh,
all right. So, bat reps real quick. I'm not going to go into detail on my games. Played half a dozen games of Conquest and about 20 games of Malifaux. The Conquest games, like I said, I was leery about the Nords after the changes, only to find out that after playing them, they're really fun. They are really got a fun play style, and they can hang around and they can win a game. They can win some games. So
sweet.
Yep. As far as the Malifaux games, did a bunch of, learning games, teaching games, played with Ampersand, of course, the Vix. I played with Pandora, Seamus, and Hoffman. I won at least 8 games I know of, because on the day that we had the quick intro tournament thing, I went 3-1 and actually won out the whole thing. So that was kind of fun.
Nice.
I got a free box out of that, mostly with Vix on that one. I tried Hoffman just because everybody said Hoffman is so broken in this 4th edition. And yeah, he is. He's broken.
Yeah.
That crew is broken. Their action economy they got to tone it down. They got to do something. A change has to be made, because the gaining of actions that they're able to do is just unbalancing.
Yeah.
And then the other games that we played was we finished up the last 6 games of our Alpha Strike campaign, our us versus the AI, if you will, the Battletech Aces system, and 2 experienced players, reasonably good, with good forces. We barely won that campaign. We won by the skin of our teeth. And we were so impressed with how the AI, the Battletech Aces system worked outside of the campaign that comes in the box. We figured it would work real well with the stuff that was in the box, because that's what they play tested. But to take it out of that and to put it out into the wild and to have it actually be very representative, very tactical, well thought out, and we never once felt like it was making really stupid decisions. There were times it did stuff that we would not have done, but none of it was ever like, oh, just run your mech out and get it killed because you're dumb. No, it played really, really well.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm suitably impressed. Very impressed. So anyway, what about do you have stuff?
Yeah, my stuff is Magic the Gathering oriented.
Yay.
The most recent games I played, we had played a game with Kylo Apogee Mind, which is a Jeskai commander deck. I pretty much played the pre-con with like 4 or 5 cards changed out.
Oh.
Jeskai would be red, white, and blue, right?
Murka.
But it's a counters matter deck. It's not like a +1/+1 counter matters deck. It's like you put charge counters on stuff and manipulate those. That game was against Zurgo, the newest Zurgo that has Mobilize, that pumps out a bunch of tokens. Essentially functions like an Aristocrats deck. For those who don't know, that's generally a white-black deck where you pump out a bunch of tokens, sacrifice them for value, usually to drain your opponents, right? They lose 1 life, you gain 1 life, kind of thing.
Yay.
And then other opponent was playing Celeste Rune Knight, which was also in the same colors, which is Marty, which is red, white, and black. But she works more with like graveyard synergies. She tries to, do these interesting combos where you can if you do it right, infinitely sack a creature to do damage to the table, kind of thing. That game was a long game. So that one, I ended up winning it after the grind went through. I just got out, enough, despite multiple board wipes. I just got out of advantage engines and won it out. I forgot to put on here, but I played another game with just a pre-con straight out of the box, which was from Bloomborough. It was Hazel. She is a black-green squirrel, and her deck is about squirrels and squirrel tokens and squirrel token synergies. And I drew like crap, and I, lost that game hard.
No scroll power.
Okay. No, none whatsoever. It was just like, I'm drawing all the bad cards in this deck.
Of course.
So that's one I would need to really hone in on. But generally out of the box, it's pretty good. It was just, I don't know, skill issue with shuffling, I guess. And then played my new Aang deck. I think I talked to y'all about it last time, I think, which is the one with all the clones.
Oh, yeah.
Then I was against Miram. Miram is a teamer dragon, so blue, red, and green. And what Miram does is whenever you cast a dragon, you make a copy of it, and the copy is not legendary.
Ooh.
And so it's just a dragon doubler. Just casually let me double all my dragons that I want to put into play. It was insane.
Yeah.
And then that was also against Celeste. Celeste was played on that one too. And then I honestly, because I knew my deck was more powerful than the other two, like I just held back.
Yeah.
And then I think I went off on like turn 5, I think it was. And then I was just like, and combo. Okay. Are we good, guys?
Yeah.
So those are the games we played. And oh Lord, when you're not playing at the higher tiers, right? Like the tier 4, tier 5, like commander games take forever.
Yeah.
I think the Kylo game took almost 4 hours.
Wow.
And again, because we're always just like, we were putting each other back on resources. And it was just, I just had so many advantage engines that I was able to just eventually work through it. But it was pretty painful. It was pretty painful.
Ow.
Yeah, I mean, it was such a good time. I thoroughly enjoyed those games. So
I don't mind a long game if they're fun. If you're having a good time. Okay, cool.
None of them were tedious. No, none whatsoever. When you're playing with friends and stuff, it's always joking too.
That's the half of it.
Yeah, I mean,
these are social hobbies, and that's where it counts.
Yeah, so that was my stuff. But as I've alluded to before, I'm diving back headfirst into my minis.
Nice.
After a decent stint of just not having the inspiration,
I know that feeling.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it was a rough time. But back at it, folks. And I can't wait to start putting paint on models and models on tabletops, especially all the lawyers that I'm going to lawyer Bill with.
Objection. I don't care.
I'm going to move here. I subpoenaed your units, so...
Oh.
Literally, Lucius has a subpoena ability. That's his primary attack.
Does Nelly still have the press gang thing where she can turn a versatile into a keyword model?
Oh, I'd have to double check.
I have to check. I know somebody has that. Oh no, it's Perdita with family.
Familia.
She can do the family thing where she turns somebody to family, which is brutally hardcore. You take some of those fucking powerful versatiles and make them keyworded to where they get all the bonuses. Oh, that can be brutal. Yeah,
like, oh my God, what's it called? The one that has 2 models. One's like super weak that can transform into the bigger one.
Oh, it
starts with a B.
Yeah. Oh my God.
But yeah, the foul emissary is the one that's like a beat stick, right? And like dragging him in as, in her keywords. I'm gonna tell you, when Perdita's crew comes out, like all day, all day. I got that blood running through me.
There you go. Anyway, let's take a quick break, and then we'll get to the main show, which is actually going to be short because obviously this is just like a recap and a how to explain to somebody what the different kinds of gamers are and our opinions on that. And it's all opinion. The entire lore section is opinion. So don't take it for this is what a narrative game is. No.
Yeah, we're not talking about specific players except for you, Johnny.
Yeah, you are the one we're aiming this at. So we'll be right back.
The world has gotten even stranger than you already know.
At this point, I doubt anything would surprise me.
$10 says you're wrong.
All right, here we are at the main section of lore, I guess, if you want to call it lore. It's just more like, what are gamers? And I have titled this section the Gamer Toxicity Scale.
The toxicity of our city.
Yeah. And as we talk about different types of games and gamers, I just want to stress that this scale is weighted like the pH scale. Both ends of it are dangerous to human life. Okay. So if you're at one of the extreme ends, please understand that you might be toxic. Yeah. So I don't know if you agree with my breakdown here, but what I've tried to do is put average, of course, right in the middle, and then the 3 or 4 different edge cases toward the edges. Go figure. Who knew? So at the very end, at the very most toxic, I would call these acidic, are the win at all cost players.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the whackers are basically, I don't care what game you're playing, these are the most toxic people you will play with. These are the ones that actually will justify cheating. They will justify fixed dice, or altered dice. These are the guys that will twist any rule that can possibly be twisted so that it works in their favor. And if there's something that actually works in your favor and you don't do it, they won't remind you. They won't be like, hey, you can do this, Nope. These guys are just in it. They will oftentimes forget the limitations that their army has, usually in print. They forgot about that. Oops, my bad. But make sure that every restriction that you have in your army list is followed to the letter. These are the guys that always has the newest metal list with proxy models usually, because, you can't get those, so I'm using this bottle cap as... Yeah, he's my Asmodeus. Okay, whatever. And, again, these are also the people that they become expert at scenarios, not the game, but they know how to twist each scenario so that they can win it. And these are the people you just generally don't want to play with. They're not fun.
So I have a good example of this. For my 40K content, I generally watch 2 to 3 different channels, right? So Art of War 40K.
Yeah.
Really, those are your subject matter experts right there. I just got to say, Tabletop Tactics. God, I love that show.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It is so fun. And then sometimes Tabletop Titans, but, there was a good, I think it may have come out like a month and a half ago where this discussion came up, right? About this type of player where in a game in the Swiss, where this guy, did a deep strike with, one of his characters and then forgot to, I think, move another unit before, because he just got excited about moving to shooting.
Yeah.
The other player was like, nope, you've already moved to shooting phase.
Yeah.
Right. And absolutely refused to let it move forward. And then the judge backed him up. But then he's in it was a top tables game against Nick Nanavati. And he does almost the exact same thing where he moves this unit but fails to activate a stratagem in the timing window.
Yeah.
Right. And he's like, oh man, I forgot to do that. Can I go back and do that? And Nick was very polite about it, but he's like, no.
Yeah, no.
No. This is the exact same thing that you did to that other guy over there. So I'm just being fair.
Yeah.
Again, not being a dick, not being a jerk, just being it's fair play, buddy. This is the type of game you're going to play. It's the type of game you're going to get.
It's exactly right.
It's the, when you forget the rule, I'm going to lord it over you. When I forget the rule, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
That's that player. And I think it's a great example. I encourage you all to go look at Art of War 40K if you're a 40K fan and don't already know about them. I mean,
I know.
They're the guys.
The brown magic is the pinnacle,
They're all awesome. I really enjoy their content. Again, subject matter experts.
Yep.
I have not, from everything that I've seen, they do not exist in this whack category.
No, they never have. No.
Probably getting more towards the tournament. Yeah, I think
those are the tournament guys. Yeah.
I mean, just
the true
blue tournament subject matter experts when it comes to this, 40K specifically.
Yep.
So I think that's just a great example of what Bill's trying to illustrate here.
Yeah.
And you can go watch those videos if you just go look at their channel on YouTube. The next one, it's the sweaties.
The sweaties. Oh, yeah.
Not just the folks that walk around and remind you why you keep that can of Axe in your backpack. It's not for you. It's for these people. So you have here the subsets. We have the try too hards.
Yeah.
The net listers and the metagamers, right? They often think that they're tournament gamers.
Yeah.
They're the ones who, They're going to consume all the content.
Yeah.
They're going to look at all the lists, right? They're not brewing lists.
No.
They are just taking
Consuming.
lists. Yeah. They consume and then regurgitate. Ooh, binge and purge. So they're the kinds who, they think they know it all and all that, but they still end up like 3-2ing and they blame some external thing like, oh, dice weren't with me today.
Yeah.
Right? Or
his list was pretty OP.
Yeah. Well, if I had just realized that I couldn't move through the wall with this unit, right?
Yeah.
But again, when they chase the meta, right?
Yeah.
They're just like, well, I got to get the next best thing. They're generally the kind of people that I equate with who aren't at the professional level, right?
Yeah.
Who are part of a studio, who are just like, they're constantly like swapping armies, right? Not like in the sense that they purchase all the things for the armies, but they're literally like swapping armies with another person so they can get the meta, right? They don't take the time to build and paint necessarily. They'll have that one model and it'd be like, dude, did you melt this? Like kind of thing.
The gray plastic guys.
Yeah, exactly. They don't get to the level of the whack person. They're not going to be the one that's like super gamey.
Yeah, they're not going to cheat, and you can have fun games against the sweaty guys. Sometimes if all you're going to do is laugh at them because they're trying to explain concepts that they just clearly do not get.
Yeah,
but they're not the most toxic. The whackers are the toxics.
Yeah. A side note on the whackers, forgot to say this. Just because someone is like the win at all cost type doesn't mean they're going to cheat. It's just they're most likely to manipulate the rules in their favor, whenever they have the opportunity to, in a negative way, right? Instead of just being like, oh, you know what? I forgot this rule does this, right? Like having a conversation with it, just being like honest, with the person across from you, oh man, I forgot. This is supposed to happen when I do this and I forgot to trigger it, and having that like good conversation. They're just like, nope, too late. Miss trigger.
We always talk about it as, 90% of the people play by intent.
Yeah.
This is what I mean to do.
Yeah.
And then you do your move, and just so everybody's clear, hey, I am in range. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Okay, yeah, sure. And then, the whacker guy is going to be like, when shooting phase comes up, he's going to be like, you're actually a millimeter out. No shots. None. Well, we talked about this. Remember I said, here's the intent. Well, that's not what's on the table. Okay, yeah, you win. You're right.
Oh, I want to give an example of this from Magic. So particularly in like competitive commander, right? CDH, there are those who politic a lot, right? And the politic is like having the conversation with the table, right? And what a lot of these people do is that they will just like filibuster, essentially, trying to either distract people, right? Get them to forget the play they're going to do.
Wow.
Right? Like they'll do all kinds of things like that, and that happens in miniature games, like where someone's like, okay, I'm going to set this up here. Yeah, man, that's really cool and all that stuff. Hey, dude, where did you get that model over there? Like is that a custom model? Like they're going to do that kind of thing to throw you off your game.
Yeah.
Right. So the sweaty guys aren't going to be that kind of guy.
No.
Right. The sweaty guys, like they really want to get in there and do an honest game. It's just that they're like, their understanding of where they are skill wise is misplaced.
Slightly skewed.
Because of the knowledge that they have, that they've gained so much, and like, oh, I don't know why you're not running this unit.
They're the definition of sophomoric,
Yeah.
The foolish wise. It's just, but again, they're not the worst gamers to play against. As long as you have a good attitude and you can crack jokes with them, they're fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Next up, you have the tournament players. Woo. And these guys are right next to the average because these are where you're going to have a lot of fun with your games most of the times. These guys are absolutely laser focused on the game, the best lists, the best combos, the manipulation of situations, but not in a dickhead way.
Yeah.
They're going to be talking through it as they're doing it. These are the kind of guys that if you want to get good at the game, these are the guys you play. I wrote it here, steel sharpens steel.
Yeah.
If you want to learn to play a good game, these are the guys you play because they will make you better just by exposing you to the tactics and the thoughts and the methods that are built into the game that they inherently understand. So,
and the conversations are always, like educational in a way, right?
Yep.
They're going to pull some like crazy tactic that you didn't expect,
Yeah.
right? And then like, instead of it being one of those things where it's a feels bad, you're just like, oh my God, I didn't even think about that. You know, and they're like, yeah, right. You know, and like they're excited about it too. You know, like they're not like, haha, I got you, right?
Yeah, zing.
But they're the same type of people who are like, okay, I moved my unit here, and this is my measuring tape. Can we agree?
Yeah.
That, you know, and like they're very thorough,
Yep.
right? They're not trying to gotcha, right? They employ their strategy in a way that like makes sense. Like again, Art of War 40K guys are like, this is their position, right?
Their level. Yeah.
And you know, honestly, what's interesting is that the sweaties and the whackers want to be these guys.
They really do.
Right.
But they're just not.
Yeah, they drink a little bit too much of their own Kool-Aid, or they found that particularly with like whackers, the only way they can win is through their deception.
Yeah.
Right. And so they need to manipulate that instead of just, you know, being a tactical mind. You know, like the tournament guys, if that's real, you really want to go with your game instead of being the casual gamer, right?
Yeah.
If the tournament's where you want to go, like you got to look for the right guys for it.
Yes.
You know, so you're going to have there's a lot of great people in this, you know, like the sweaties and the whackers are not the majority, right?
No.
They just stand out because of their acidic qualities, right?
And because you usually have the NPEs with them, the negative play experiences. I always go back to my anecdote about the very first Las Vegas Open and the very first AOS tournament. And we got paired up for the first round, and, you know, everybody's coming by and going, oh man, sorry for you, you know, hope you can make it. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Oh, did you not see you're paired up against Ben Moley for the first game? And I was like, oh, the best player in the world. Okay, great.
Oops.
Turned out to be the most fun game I have had playing AOS probably ever, because, you know, there was this expectation Ben was going to win the game. It was pretty much, you know, the skill difference was so vast that unless the dice were completely doing something weird, he was going to win. So what we turned it into was, here's how to be better with your list. Looking at my list, and here's how to play it better. Here's how to tweak it in. And it was one of the best games I ever played. It was so much fun. Taking the loss was of absolutely no consequence when you flipped it around to see how much I got knowledge-wise and friendly game-wise out of that hour and a half that we spent playing AOS. It was a blast. So that's a tournament player. You will always enjoy playing those guys if they're not in tournament prep mode. Now, if you know, if a guy comes up to you and says, hey, I'm getting ready for the Bay Area Open, I need this kind of a game. And if you can't give him that kind of a game, don't jump into there. You know, if you're a completely casual guy and he's looking for a high end, I need to test this list to see if it works, understand they are either going to obliterate you or you're not going to have a fun time.
Yeah, I mean,
and again, most of the tournament players that I know of will tell you, I want to play a tournament prep game. And I'll go, yeah, you don't want to play me. Sorry.
It's kind of rare, though, because usually the tournament guys have that core group that they do the tournament prep with. So if they're coming up to you, you know, and saying that, like, I'd be kind of curious what their situation is. You know,
chances are they might be a sweaty.
Yeah. They're probably going to be a sweaty.
Yeah.
You know, worst case, they're going to whack you.
Yeah.
But yeah. So that's the tournament level. Getting to the average player, right? That's most of us. Right? That's, you know, it's me, it's Bill, it's you, not you, Johnny.
No, you're sweaty.
Yeah. But, you know, like, yeah, you want to win and all that, but you're not sitting there like finally tuning your list to, you know, the ultimate min max of every single stat you know you're going to need. This is my all comers list that's able to handle, you know, I can handle machinery, I can handle like whatever it is, right?
And you might even be using a net list, but you don't use a net list expecting to win every game.
Yeah.
You know, I don't pilot this as good as the guy who wrote it. So, yeah.
Yeah, for like Magic players, for example, right? It's all too often that I think that a lot of people are steered by competitive Magic into being like, oh, this is how I have to build my deck. That's why you see card prices shoot up and then they'll drop back down when everyone's like, oh, this Demir Excruciator, you mean it loses to blue-black fairies now? And then, like, you know, your blue-black fairies like, oh, this Flitterwing Nuisance, it was a $2 card, now it's $50. Like, you're going to have those players that chase that high, right? They're generally going to be more on the sweaty side. But the average player, You know, I think of like in Magic, I think of the average commander player, right? Which is, I have this pet commander card that I absolutely love, right? It is my band, which is blue, green, white, detective girl with her bloodhound doggo that whenever you cast her, she gets her doggo, and we go hunt for clues, right? And they're going to build a deck around that, right? And that's the average player. They're not over there trying to be like, I'm going to jam Thassa's Oracle into Demonic Consultation the first chance that I can get protected because I'm just trying to win on turn 2.
Yeah.
I'm not going to translate all those words. Y'all can look at them up. But that's the average player. They just want to have fun, have a good game. You know, they're the person who goes to the store. Maybe they'll start with a spearhead or they'll start with a combat patrol, right? But they're going to look at a box and be just like, oh my God, those mutilators, which aren't out yet, but those mutilators speak to me for some reason, and I need them in my life.
I'm going to buy them. Yeah.
Right. And I want to paint them with the cool stripes. So they're Iron Warriors, right? That's the average player. They're like, rule of cool. Yeah, they want to win, but they're not over there trying to min-max, right? That's the everyman, right? Or the every person, I should say. You can look at net lists, right? And get an idea of like, oh, this is how this army is supposed to be played or put together, but they're not over there like just screaming for it, you know? And I think they fall into the average hobbyist as well, you know, like, cause you're like, I'm going to buy, build, paint my own models.
Yes.
At least buy models and then paint them myself. You know, like the real sweaty players are the ones who, sweaty and whackers are the ones who are just like, I'm buying the entire army that I need.
Yeah.
Preferably pre-painted just so I can try and get winning list. This is...
Yeah, if not, they're going out gray.
Yeah.
I don't care. You know?
Yeah.
Yep.
Average consumer is, I'm going to build my army. I'm going to paint my army. This is my thing. I'm going to get my own color scheme, right? I'm going to build my own lore for it, you know, if you get into the narrative stuff, right? You know? That's the average person, you know, and they'll look to the tourney guys, and you could still learn a lot from the tourney guys just in terms of just, you know, gameplay itself, but they just want to have the fun.
Yep. So moving on from the average guy, we go to the casual gamer.
Filthy casuals.
And yeah, this is where it can be really, I mean, it sounds like a casual gamer should be a lot of fun. But sometimes these are the folks that are a little too married to like house rules or little weird things they read in a White Dwarf 7 years ago that it seems like a great way to play without dice. So yeah, that's what I do. Again, these are the guys that can go to a tournament and go over and still have had a great time. They didn't care. But sometimes playing against them can be a negative play experience because they're just too loose. You know, okay, so this guy's got a 6-inch move. So I just grab the stack and I move it. That looks about 6 inches, whatever. Well, that looks more like a foot. But yeah, whatever. You know, they're not going to try anything crazy. So,
well, that's just like your opinion, man.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and it's, sometimes they can be a little too loosey-goosey with the rules, not know the rules for their factions. And so you walk away with a win and you're like, yeah, I won, but he wasn't playing with half of his rules. You know, so you're just like, did I win? Did I? Or did I just club a baby seal? Sometimes. If you're asking yourself that, chances are you played a casual gamer. Or if you did go club a baby seal, you're a whacker and you should, you know, do something else. But then
therapy, most likely.
Therapy. Yeah.
But then we get to, well, the question we've been trying to answer.
Are we toxic? Narrative gamers. Yeah. They're on really one end of the spectrum. They're close to the end of the other spectrum. And these are the guys that the game itself matters more than the win or the loss. They don't play competitively, which is strange. And when you run across that, sometimes it can be great if you're in that mode and you've agreed to that. But if you haven't, it's really negative. It's really not fun. These are the guys that probably don't know half the rules because they're just more interested in letting it flow. Let's tell the story. And sometimes serious, hardcore narrative people can be very unfun to play against if you're out there for a strictly narrative campaign and these are the frameworks that you've agreed to, then yeah, they're the best games that you can have. But when you walk into the store and you run up to somebody and they're like, oh, I'm strictly in it for this story, and sometimes that can be a flag that it's not going to be the best of games.
Like they're the kind of person who wants to play D&D with miniatures, right?
Yeah.
But I do have to say, I feel like there's sort of like two sides to this coin because, it's similarly positioned with the sweaties, right? In terms of kind of like where we're at. Because sometimes what you'll have is like a different issue where you have someone who's like, yeah, I love playing Necromunda because we have this cool, fun story stuff, right? Meanwhile, they're like trying to min-max, their characters, right?
Yes.
I'm not trying to say that they're whacking people, but they're literally in there trying to grind out every little bit of advantage, through the games, and like I'll use Necromunda again as an example.
Yeah.
With the oh my god, I'm gonna forget them, but like the Cornish type of guys who have the skulls, like where if you like try and shoot them, you have to like roll a willpower dice to even try to shoot them. And they just terrorize the board, right? Because they're gonna run up and melee you better than, I don't know, Goliaths can. With like chain axes and absurd stuff. Meanwhile, you're just kind of like, I'm too scared to shoot. Like the person who plays that gang is the sweaty narrative gamer.
Yes.
Right?
The hidden whack narrative gamer. Yeah.
Like they're on that verge where they're just like, I just want to win. Like this isn't a tournament. This is us trying to, work through a campaign and develop a story here. Right. But they, oh my God, what is it? It's something cult, right? Oh my God. I can't believe I'm spacing on this
For
right
what
now.
system?
For Necromunda. Corpse Grinder cult? No?
I don't know. I don't know it well enough.
Like I am just honestly blanking. It's been so long since I played Necromunda and I've got Malifaux on the brain.
Yes.
But yeah, like if you just have these guys going in and just like mincing everyone and like you're taking casualties like all over the place because this guy decided he wanted to be the sweatiest person in the world. He's got like 3 little mooks with like hand flamers that are like toasting anyone who tries to like get to this point. Meanwhile, you've got, name your slasher horror character stalking the rest of your crew, your gang. Like that guy is like the part of the narrative gamer, right? They don't like, because it's like someone who wanted to put on the narrative hat, right, while wearing the sweaty underwear.
Yes.
It's there. We can all smell it. You can't hide it, right? But they're in the system still. They're in the campaign. That's the other side of the narrative gamer, right? Which is like I don't know, a secret agent or something.
Yeah. The very deadly, very NPE narrative gamer,
right?
And then the other end of the last end of the scale, and this would be the alkaline, the base side. They're just as toxic, but they're the story nerds, the lore nerds. I hate to say it, but these are the neckbeards. These are the people that only play if your list is completely lore compliant.
Mm-hmm.
I use the broad scope of 30K players, but 30K players are playing a historical war game in a universe that's made up, but those color schemes have to be correct.
Yes.
You can't show up with Black Legion painted as My Little Pony.
Yeah.
You're out. They will not. You are not invited.
Mm-hmm.
You are out of here. They are the gatekeepers, the rivet counters. They are the guys that come up and they'll be like, oh, that rhino is generally okay, except the tread pattern is actually from 10 years after this battle. So can you not use that? It's going to screw up the photos.
Yeah.
And you're just like.
It breaks my immersion completely. Like I just.
Oh, yeah.
Like I can't do that. I just can't do that. I can't do that, Yeah, and like it's toxic in a different way because it makes you feel like you're playing your game wrong, right? I painted wrong,
yes.
Right? For this person, it's one of those things that like it'll eat at you a little bit, right? Like slowly. It's like a poison almost.
And then you find yourself doing shit like, okay, I'm going to paint this unit of Fallschirmjägers from World War II, but I'm going to paint them in the color scheme that was used for the invasion of Crete, but I'm going to play them in a European game. And when you come up to me and say, oh, those are not correctly identified, and I'm like, oh, excuse me, but right here, Osprey Publishing, page 19 says, and you can find yourself going down that road. And is that really where you want to be with your gaming life? No.
And, interestingly enough, they're always the ones who like to chime in where someone's like, they're learning about the lore, right?
Yeah.
So they're having conversations with someone, like how excited they're getting about like, oh yeah, like, and I read that like blah, 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 blah. And they walk in and they hit you with the well, actually. Right. And, they try and like tell you all this like lore crap, from like 15 different books that, of course, this poor little person who's only been in here 3 months and read one Horus Heresy book.
He's read the Horus Heresy book. Okay.
Yeah. And then listen to it nonstop on audio or on audiobook. Like it's like I do have friends that are in the hobby that I love them to death, and it's like fun when you're like, it's funny, when I'm engaging in like a conversation, and well, I'm certainly not a lore expert or anything like that, but I mostly just sit there and just, brag about how awesome Jagatai is, right?
Yeah.
And then comes in and be like, well, you need to look at this other White Scars character. He's just really, okay, stop
Right there.
Hold on. It can be funny at times, but certainly for new players, it's not that fun. And, if you're like, oh, I really like 30K's gaming system, like let's say, right? It's so different from 40K. And I like this like massive army combat kind of concept, and then they start picking at you about your paint schemes and
or the shade of Horus Green. Okay, come on, stop. Well, actually, oh God, stop. Just, and I get it. There are groups and the price of entry into those groups is that accuracy.
Yeah.
And if you sign up for that, then you've signed up for the whole apple pie.
Yeah.
And you've got to do what the rules are. And, there are certainly groups out there that are dedicated 30K historical, and they'll tell you flat out before you even get with them, these are our structured rules. This is what you can do. And a lot of times they will have, here's the paint mixtures for the different groups. Here's how you paint them. This is what is expected of you. So if you're going to jump in with those guys, jump in with your eyes open and understand that they have rules and this is how you get involved with them. If that's not your bag, don't get involved. Don't try to change them because they're out there having fun their way. And again, I'm not going to say, except for the whackers and the sweaties, most of these people are just playing their game their way, and don't fault them for it.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say, the story lore nerds, like that is a very niche part of a niche hobby.
Yeah.
It's going to be for a very select group. You'll know the person when you run into them.
Yeah.
Right. Because of, they have not shaved their neck.
Yeah. In a long time. It's the bolt action Flames of War neckbeards, who are the pure examples of that kind of thing. The guys that play Conflict 47 are like, okay, yeah, whatever, it's sure, who knows, trying to enforce rules in a fantasy setting to me has always been hilarious. Realize this is made up, right? Realize the company itself says, do whatever you want.
I think the funniest example is at a local game store, that focuses on like miniature games and stuff like that. Some guy walking in, looking around the shop, who's purchased models there before and everything, and then like stops and is trying to talk to like, I think it was the cashier or something, and being like, does anyone here do live action Vampire the Masquerade? That's this guy.
Yes.
That's this guy. Right? You hear that, that individual, if you ever run into him in a miniatures game situation, right, you're going to learn more about your faction than you are going to play the game.
Yes.
Well, maybe not learn. You're going to hear more about your faction than you are going to play the game. And it's just that's the person. That's the person.
Yeah.
So you could see sort of the scale, right? Like someone who's so hyper focused on the crunch of the game and just getting every single, possible advantage to the person who's like, I don't care so much about the game so much that it is so lore accurate, right? That it doesn't offend my aesthetic, right? And then the range of everything in between.
Yeah.
Right.
And where 95% of the people live is in that casual world where it's just, let's get together and throw some dice and have a laugh.
I think you mean average, right?
Yeah, average.
Casuals when you go too
I
casual.
said casual. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, average gamers. That's where most of us live or try to live. Now, there might be a game system that you are on one side of.
Oh, yeah.
Hopefully it's not the sweaty whacker side, but you may be in all different places. And, we also broke down the kind of game types, but honestly, you can kind of figure out what kind of game you're going to get based on the gamer that you're playing. Know these things going in and know that your opponent is in a certain camp.
Yeah.
And don't try to shit on their fun.
Yeah.
If that's not going into it, that this guy is a baby seal clubber or a whacker or something. And if that's not how you want to spend the next 3 hours, don't do it. Don't do it. Or if you run into that narrative guy who's just there for a storytelling game and you want to play kind of a hardcore competitive game, don't jump in and, just because he's the only person available to play that day, maybe just don't do it. That way you don't ruin any potential friendships or situations and you don't feel like you wasted your time. And, again, this whole thing came up because somebody asked me, what the hell is a narrative gamer? And my answer was a very toxic type of gamer who favors the story over the game. And they were like, well, you call yourself a toxic gamer? And I'm like, well, kinda. Yeah, because if you're not into that, you probably wouldn't want to play that game. Now, I don't always play narrative. I will play pickup games and try hard, but I won't go sweaty.
Yeah.
And I still won't care if I lose,
Mm-hmm.
but it may not be the best game you've ever played. So just know that going in.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's kind of the range, folks. I mean, there's no real pH test, but
No.
you just kind of have the general concept of going from the acidic to the base, right? And where they are in between. Like the best games I feel like are with average and skill tournament players.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun to see how some of the other areas interact, so like the tournament player versus the whacker, right? That's the Nick Nanavati versus the other guy, right? Or the casual versus the sweaty is sometimes hilarious, right?
It can be fun to watch.
Because the guy's over there like, okay, I got to make sure I do this just right. And the other guy's sitting there in his bathrobe being like, it's like whatever, dude.
Yeah, he's the guy that's gotten up 3 times to get drinks for everybody already.
Yeah.
And you're in turn 2.
Yeah.
Come on. This is the cool guy.
But that's okay because the sweaty guy's still trying to measure 12 inches to make sure he's within the exact millimeter he needs to be in because that's what tournament players do.
And he hasn't touched his drink.
So, narrative gamers can be toxic.
Yeah.
Can be really toxic.
Yep.
When they're too focused on the story, right? When they kind of forget that they need to have in-game rules.
Yeah. When they're more focused on other things than playing the game and you're there to play the game.
Yeah.
That's not the guy you want to be matched up with.
Or, they're the whacker / sweaty just trying to wear, the narrative t-shirt that day.
Yep.
So yeah, we can be real toxic.
Yeah. In situations.
In certain situations.
But anyway, that's kind of the show. I mean, it was the big thing about Malifaux 4th edition and just, kind of hitting on the kinds of gamers and that kind of scale, the opinion scale. And again, all opinion. Don't take any of that with any sort of, this is the actual definition. And let me change the Wikipedia entry. No, don't do that.
Well, unless you're the story / lore nerd, because we just established what is canon.
That's true. You've already done that, though.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know who you are, Johnny.
Yep.
But that is the show, folks. Try Malifaux 4th. Malifaux?
Malifaux.
It's hard, to say Malifaux 4th.
M4E?
Yeah. M4E. That could mean so many different things.
I know.
Yeah. So Malifaux 4th edition. Amazing models, amazing stuff out there. I'm also going to say
amounts of lore. So if you love the lore, you will go nuts for Malifaux.
Yeah, and Bill sent this to me. Defective Dice as a whole lore series. God, and his shows are long. Like he gets in there on
60 plus videos for the different masters
Yep.
in Malifaux. And again, that's how deep the lore goes is he's had enough content for each one of the masters is about a half an hour. And he's got about 60 just on that playlist.
Some of them go to an hour or more.
Oh,
too.
yeah. Like the Lucius one was 45 minutes, because he really wanted to get into Lucius's thought processes because he's so enigmatic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of good stuff out there for you. Also, knowing to self-examine yourself and determine whether or not you're being toxic, and think about some ways to change that up so you don't have NPEs with the people around you, and
just know who you're gaming with and
exactly.
what they expect out of the game, and try to meet in the middle.
Yeah, exactly. So, for me, I'm going to be turning into a whacker for Malifaux. So, Bill, watch out. I'm coming for your ass.
I'm totally going lore nerd. I mean, that's a fine Lucius, but that's not the color of his vest. So can you remove him?
That's more of a blood red, and it should be a ruby red. And his lapels are not matte black. They're silken black.
Yeah. Buttons are actually silver. He doesn't wear gold. Yeah, no, well, let's not do that.
Talk about a duel. All right, folks. Yeah, I hope you enjoy this. If you are a Patreon, stay tuned for After Dark.
The Albuquerque Narrative Gamers Podcast, or Anger Podcast, is protected under the Creative Commons license. You can find information for this at creativecommons.org. Information and links about the show's topics will be in the show notes, as will any other copyright information that needs to be presented.